why you should take a gap year. Now, I'm going to document my reasoning for why I think taking a gap year is the best decision. Because currently I am in my gap year. Yeah, just for any high school graduates who are thinking whether to go to university or take that gap year. Specifically with the Australian, I think you can apply it to any country that has a university system, is that we have the option to take a gap year, basically delaying our study for a year. Now, when I say gap year, don't think of like the traveling kind of gap year. I'm now talking about like the more ambitious kind of individuals, the ones that are wanting more, either earning more money, improving in their health, going to the gym. Young men on self-improvement, essentially. And for myself, I was in the university system. As much as we know it's part of like the matrix, the whole school system, having to work for or study for 3 or 4 years in tertiary tertiary education, then being in debt until we find a job. Take the gap year, just think it over. I think it's too soon to make a decision for the path in life that you take. Right now, in hindsight, I think I should have probably applied for like an online education course to like get a job. Because currently today, like I think in 2 hours, I'm going to have like a sales call with, they're called Early Work. It's in Australia. It's for tech sales, training people to get their first job in tech sales. It's like so much upside with no risk. Like it's a great offer. I think for like $400 until you get your first job, pay the 4,000 or 3,600 rest. I'm not here to advertise it. I'm just here telling you I was only able to come for that decision to go into tech sales by delaying going to university or even taking the gap year, deferring my course, because I don't think I'm going to go to university anyways. I still applied, but I deferred to give myself the time to think. Because I also think, as much as I feel like it's a regret to not have enlisted for this course as soon as possible, as soon as I graduated, I think I'm grateful that it took me the months of thinking to like go over it, because I knew I wanted to do entrepreneurship. I did dropshipping in January, and I think digital marketing. I'm still doing a bit of digital marketing for like one golf coach. And now I've realized that I want to go into sales, knowing that I probably suck at sales, being only 18. And the only way to get experience and improve at the skill of selling is actually by selling. So coming to that realization only now in July, I can now have a path forward rather than being in university, studying, and then self-reflecting, because 3 or 4 years, depending on your course, is a long time to study for university. And especially, again, it depends on your career outcome. If you're like engineer, doctor, lawyer, like of course it makes sense to go to university. I have no argument to go against that. But if you're going to university having a general idea rather than a specific idea, it's probably not a good idea to go straight into uni. So give yourself the gap year to think it over. And I think I was having a discussion with like one of my old teachers. She moved to another school, like when I was working at Gulf World, and she was buying a bag for her husband. She was saying how like most of the schools now are encouraging more of the students to take a gap year, because there's no pressure in waiting a year. There's no pressure in thinking it over and creating the best decision. Because the best decision for you has to be figured out by you. And that's going to be with the resources and educating yourself for which path is the correct course of action. Because I think some people going to university is just sort of like a safety net, like a social buffer. Like they know as long as they keep studying, they have a degree, like a result at the end of it. Because even with that result, that I argue there's no guarantee of a job. Hear me out. Like maybe engineering, I've been told there's plenty of jobs in the mines for engineering. Doctors, of course, we need them for society. Lawyers, the law's very complicated. You'll need someone to interpret it for you. Accountants, that's another one. You can even go like to TAFE, like it's an alternative to university, to like do a 1 or 2 year course in bookkeeping and accounting rather than doing a 3-year degree in commerce and then majoring in accounting. Because I think now in this scape of university and online education, alternative education, there's better options if you can go over. But those options won't arise if you go straight into uni. And then also during this gap year, I want you to still like maybe get a job. Obviously earn while you're in this gap year. I don't like the idea of having to travel during my gap year. Like I've been told like by a stakeholder, I think I mentioned in the video, he mentioned to me, oh, you should go travel Europe, go see Asia. Like, as much as I do agree, but you should travel in a position where you'll get the most out of your experience, because money isn't a limiting factor to your ability to have a great time. Because I don't like the idea of like skimping and trying to be, a tight ass when it comes to travel. Like places like Japan, Asia, Europe. I'd rather be able to afford like medium or high, like rather than backpacking kind of rates. And also it's more travel, like I see the only value in it if you want it for experience rather than trying to explore yourself. Or like the best kind of thinking is actually journaling or meditating. Like sit down and look at the wall for 5 minutes and you'll get ideas. Because currently we're experiencing the problem of I don't know where I want to go with my life. So rather than go straight to university, you give yourself a year to just think. Because the brain is a problem solving tool. You just have to give it problems. And if our problem is I don't know what I want, it's time to figure it out. Whether it be journaling about your purpose. That's another big thing. It's about purpose. Because if you don't know your purpose, you don't know the necessary actions or courses of actions to take. Now for myself, I know I want to be financially independent, location independent, time independent. And to go into tech sales, like I have done coding. Like I'm not really a big enthusiast. I've even recently gone back into coding just to like brush up on the skills. I've been listening to Naval Ravikant. I can't pronounce his name. Naval. Like he's a startup investor. He says that learning coding is essential. Like one of those skills like reading and writing in the modern age. Even though you might not have a career as a coder or a software engineer, you still want to know the language and still understand the fundamentals of the tools that you use. And the computer is like one of the most powerful tools that we have created as humans. Now, as tech sales, I want to learn how to sell, and I'm already in an industry that I'm passionate about. It has high growth, like tech and the internet. They are highly exponential growth. They are booming industry. Basically, I'm taking the advice of Warren Buffett of it doesn't matter how hard you row, it's the boat that you row in. So I want to row in tech because I believe like the starting salary is like 50K. And again, I'm taking a sales call just to get clarification on the information for taking this academy course to get my next tech job. Is because I think the guy said it, because tech is such a big industry, it's such a fast moving industry, it will take less than 12 months to get your first promotion rather than some brick and mortar sales job, retail sales job. And it's mostly outbound. And again, I've had all these realizations because I took the time to think while in my gap year about it rather than rushing into things. Plan, execute, reiterate, as Luke Valmar would say. So give yourself a gap year, but if you know for dead sure that you want to be, I don't know, an investment banker, like you need this degree and you are so, passionate and hard, like this aligns with your purpose, go for it. I'm not stopping you. But if you still are iffy, like if you're not a fuck yes, or it's a no, That's another concept from Mark Manson. If you are not enthusiastic about deciding this decision, you don't have a decision. I think that's another thing that Naval said in his book, in the Almanac, is if you can't create a decision, then it's better to say no. What's the word? It's better, you have to choose your regrets, like with sacrifices. In explaining that, I want to live in the regret that I didn't have a career in banking. Like, I wanted to be an investment banker, but I can live with the regret of not being in investment banking, so I can choose to go into sales and in tech. Because I think it would have been regretful if I went straight into university for a year just to find out that this isn't for me. I'm not enjoying this. I don't see the outcome. I don't see how it helps me in my future outcome, and dropping out and just essentially wasted a year studying rather than earning income and learning from alternative sources of education. Because if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to be a high income individual, you just have to learn high income skills in industries that are booming and fast paced. That's I think those key concepts are from Alex Hormozi's $100 million offers about choosing the niche. So just think about it. Take the gap year. Then eventually you'll come to a decision where you are fervent and you're passionate about and you're sure of. And the rest should take care of itself. I know it sounds ambiguous, but if you don't have an idea, if you don't have a direct target, at least try and go in the direction of your target that you have some idea of, because at least aiming at something is better than nothing. So take a gap year. And I hope this helps.